Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to the 2024 State of the University Address for Signum University. I always look forward to getting together with folks and sharing with you what's been going on and where we're headed, what we're looking at for Signum for the year to come. Of course, this year we're doing this event near the turning of the calendar year, right? So it seems a particularly appropriate time to look back at 2024 and to look forward to what 2025 holds in store for us. Now, as I start off, I'm going to be coming back to this later on in the talk, but of course, we are in the final stages of our fall 2024 fundraising campaign. I would urge you, if you haven't gotten a chance yet, now is a perfect time to donate to Signum University, especially since we are coming to the end of the tax year. So, of course, that's always a good thing to remember. So just to remind you, if you go to Signum University's webpage, signumuniversity.org, go to the About section and go down to the Donate page, then you can see I'm on Safari, so I need to click the button to continue to the form, and when I do, I get the donation form right here to make a one-time or a recurring donation to Signum University. I'm going to be talking a little bit more later on about the generosity that everybody has shown already and about some of the goals and priorities that we have coming into this coming year. So don't forget about our fundraising campaign here. It is arguably the most wonderful time of the year to donate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about big stuff. Now, I know that one question that many of you have will be, what's the story with accreditation? Of course, last year at the State of the University Address, we were in the final stages. We were coming down to the finish line of the accreditation process that had already been long delayed. And so let's talk about that. The result, of course, is more delay, and this time a longer delay. We were given many reasons why they chose to defer us, which is the official result that we got at the end of our review last time, a deferral. They gave many reasons. I'm not going to go through them all because, as Sir Lancelot's would-be father-in-law would say, this is supposed to be a happy occasion. Anyway, so I'm not going to go line by line because it makes me grumpy. But the primary and most substantive reason that we were given for the deferral of our accreditation application is that we're too poor. That is the bottom line, so to speak. We were told that in order to continue the process on our way to accreditation, we had to make $250,000 of surplus revenue, not just revenue, surplus revenue, appear within 3 months. That we found unrealistic and unreasonable, in fact, to do. We knew that we would need a little more time than 3 months to make an extra $250,000 appear, and so we took a step back to regroup. This has been really frustrating. On the one hand, we've done everything right. The accreditors had nothing but good to say about our academic program, our faculty, our classes, our students. Inasmuch as the accreditation process is supposed to be a review of our academic program passed with flying colors. On the other hand, we found ourselves faced with an obstacle that we can't finesse, right? I mean, like, it's numbers, right? It's about our bank balance. We had followed the required procedure. We went through a 7-year process to reach that point that we were at the end of last year. We've been operating for so long without accreditation that it put a real ceiling on our graduate enrollment, which, as many of you have been around long enough to remember, was back in the day the only revenue we had. And of course, the fees for the accreditation process itself were enormously draining on our resources. We believed and hoped that we had showed the stability, both institutional stability and financial stability, that showing that stability that we've had for over a decade would be enough. And instead we were told we're just not rich enough to be accredited at this time. We paid all our fees, as I said, but the process left us, financially speaking, barely clinging on. And it was for that hardship that they ultimately chose to defer us. So, where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? I'm happy to say where it primarily has left us is undeterred and undiscouraged. We find ourselves facing the following reality. So this is us responding to the institutionally, not responding, talking to them. I'm not much interested in a further detailed dialogue at this time with them. But anyway, so these are the realities we found ourselves confronting, right? First, we can't resume our accreditation process until we lay in a large quantity of surplus income. All right, clearly, this is a thing they're going to require, and so we have to have it. We have to have it in hand before we can really go through that process again. Second, that means, in turn, that we not only have to survive. Well, that had always been the goal, right? When you have to start up from scratch with nothing and exist as an unaccredited institution and try to get through this really long process, the goal is just to survive and come out the other end, and then hopefully be able to build and grow at that point. That is not apparently going to work, right? That is one of the things that we've been told. So we not only have to survive, but we must thrive and be profitable to the extent that we lay in the large surpluses that we're required to have. And logically, we must do this growing and thriving, we must do this growing and thriving as we are, as an unaccredited institution. We can't rely on any of the traditional paths of higher education. We at Signum have to make our own path. So what are we going to do? We are going to be ourselves. We're going to share joy. That's who we are. That's what we do. I know I've shared this before. Many of you will have heard me talk about this before. This is my answer to a sort of a challenge that I read in a book I was reading, which was challenging me to, could I define the purpose, not the mission statement. Mission statements are all about what you do, right? But rather the challenge was, can you say in one sentence why your institution exists? Why did you found the institution? Why does it exist? What's the point of it? And my answer, when I kept asking the why question, why, what is the purpose? Why? The answer I came down to was this: we share joy. This is who we are. This is what we do. And this is why we exist. We exist because we love learning and teaching, and we love to spread that joy to others. And that purpose is not in the slightest bit thwarted by further delays to the accreditation process. This has always been our goal. This is why we're talking about finding joy this year in the fundraising campaign. But it's prompted me certainly, to ask this question. As again, we've been thinking about where we're going from here. What is a university? How does it work? What's the history of it? So a university was a place to learn and study, right? I mean, when universities were founded in the Middle Ages, right, they were gatherings of learned people who could discuss with each other, right? And who could be consulted, right, for learning from others who needed to consult with them or who wanted to learn from them. They were a place of retreat, right, where you could immerse yourself in learning. And there was, of course, a desire to mark this, like to mark your learning, to demonstrate the level of learning of the people who studied, right? And so degrees were born, to indicate the bachelor's degree level, which was the first one, right? Which is why it's called that. You got it when you were a bachelor, right? Like before you were married, and then the master's degree level and the doctorate level, which means the teaching level. So degrees totally make sense as a way to label things, right? Certify is a kind of a cold word for it, but it works, right? Anyway, degrees over time naturally become a goal, even a selling point for the university, right? That you can increase your own reputation by coming to our university and receiving this certification of your learning from us, right? So it's been a long time that higher education has been in the business of curating degree programs. As of course, more and more, universities dedicated less to independent research and more to building and structuring these programs to churn undergraduates through. This is not a modern thing, right? That's been true for hundreds of years. And one of the natural, in fact, almost inescapable dangers of that kind of a system is that when the degree becomes the goal, learning becomes merely the means instead of the end. The degree becomes the end, right? Getting the letters to put after your name becomes the end. And the learning is not any longer the end. It's just the means to attain that end. Now that brings us to the 20th century, in fact, to the second half of the 20th century, in fact, to the last quarter of the 20th century, and another significant change that has happened and has remarkably altered the trajectory of higher education, which has been going on for centuries, right? But the last few decades have changed the direction of higher education very significantly. As tuition prices grew and grew and grew, they reached a tipping point beyond which most people just absolutely cannot afford to get a degree without putting themselves into debt. So, how can you manage consumer demand? How can you get people to continue paying not only those prices, but continuing to increase tuition prices when they're just going to be driving themselves into debt? The only way to do that without significantly reducing the prices is to increase the perceived value, so that people would be willing to put themselves into debt in order to get the degrees. Higher education was confronted with the necessity if it didn't want to lower its tuition prices, which it did not, right? It was faced with the necessity of increasing the value proposition of degrees. Degrees need to be not only an end, they need to be an end so desirable that people are willing to do this, to impoverish themselves, in order to get their degrees. And the primary selling point that higher education has used And this has been embraced by all of higher education. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a single college or university in the world that does not take this line. Well, except one I know. But, and that is career, a higher paying job. If you get a degree from our university, really from any university, if you get a university degree, then you will be able to get a higher paying job than if you don't, right? And so the long-term rewards outweigh the short-term, with a sort of quotation marks around short-term in some cases, pain of the debt involved, of student debt. The result of this has been that higher education has become increasingly, and this continues to increase, focused on career. This has become, just as degrees have long since become the point of learning at universities, now the point of degrees is career payoff. That's why you go to school in order to get a degree. Obviously, you get a degree in order to, improve your career. Equally obviously now, right? Higher education does job training now. That is what its focus is on, almost 100%. And now that has moved us a significant step beyond learning as an end in itself. Learning is now a step, right, to a different goal. Consider, for instance, the phrase of continuing education. Because you see, this is one of the other consequences of this here. Not only is learning itself, like the goal of learning, sort of sidelined, it's also the whole path, since it's career focused, has been skewed tremendously towards a particular demographic, namely 18 to 22-year-olds. Now, there are non-traditional students at, non-traditional ages, non-traditional, right, meaning not 18 to 22 years old. But still, again, since the point is career prep, the point is not to meet the learning needs of individuals. It's to prepare them. So if you are ready to start a career, like when you're 18 to 22, higher education is there for you. If you want to move forward your career, right, you need a graduate degree in order to qualify for something else to advance your career, higher education is there for you. If you want to change your career, right, and get a new set of marketable skills, higher education is there for you too. If you want to learn, just learn. If you want to spend your life learning and discovering things, higher education has nothing for you. Almost nothing at all. They offer almost nothing just to people who want to learn. Again, consider the phrase. Consider the phrase continuing education, right? Continuing education, meaning, continuing, like after the degree. You get a degree and you do your career prep thing, right? Well, but then you might continue to want education of some sort, right? But think about where you have seen continuing education programs. First of all, most universities don't even bother with them, and if they do, it's a tiny little sideline and usually really like low impact stuff. It is not a priority to meet the continuing needs of education of people. If you want to learn something, but it's not for a job and you don't need a degree in it, the modern higher education has almost nothing for you. They don't care for those things. Yes, Mighty Felix, I agree. So many people only do continuing education when their career requires it of them. Yes. Yeah, exactly. At Signum University, we've always been outside the status quo. And now we're a little more firmly, for now, outside the status quo. We have been frustrated by the status quo here in this past year. But from where we're sitting outside the status quo, there are some things that we can see, I think, a little more clearly. Universities are not meeting the learning needs of people. That is, of just people. All of their resources are focused on these few things and these relatively small demographics. A university should not be just a degree factory, and it certainly shouldn't be just a job skills training center. That's a concept that I find kind of horrifying, actually, as an educator. A university should be a place that empowers people who want to learn. It should empower them to learn, no matter who they are or what use they may or may not put that learning to. So, at Signum, we're putting the universe back into university. This is our goal at Signum, is to be an educational institution, an institution of higher education that is actually dedicated to serving the learning needs. We define university not as a degree factory, not as a job training center. We define university as a place that provides as many learning opportunities as possible for as many people as possible. There are ways in which we have great advantage. If we think, but this is not even a question of let's go back to what universities were in the 14th century or something like that. That's not the point. Because of course things are very different. Newsflash, things are very different now from what they were in the 14th century. That is to say, one thing that we can do that couldn't be done before is we can serve lots of people, and we can serve them everywhere, wherever they are. And that is what, so this is why, again, as I said before, Signum's theme of our campaign this year is finding joy. Finding joy is not just about us and what we do. We do find joy. The joy that we hope to share through all of our teaching programs, but helping other people to find joy. Because learning what you love, is one of the most wholesome and joyful things that you can do. Everyone should continue learning, right? Whatever it is that you love, you should be moving forward in it. You should be immersing yourself in it. Not just, again, the entire concept, which higher education now sort of encourages, right? Attend college, complete the program, get the degree, get the piece of paper at the end. And now you're done, right? Now go out into the work world. You're finished learning now, right? We're gonna send you off and say you're fit and be done with you, right? Now I know your alma mater's never done with you because they're going to continue to come and ask for money for the rest of your life. But they're done teaching you, right? Or at least they're certainly done being serious about teaching you. We're not. And we want to help people find joy at whatever stage of life you are, at whatever stage in your career you are. That is our goal. So, one of the things that I've been focusing on in this campaign, and one of the things we're going to be talking about as we move forward, is what I call the Signum Continuum. That is to say, all of the learning opportunities that we currently have, and the way that we have attempted to meet everybody where they are. That everybody, and of course, when I say everybody, there is for now a little asterisk, right? And the asterisk is we don't cover everything, right? There are many people who will find joy in things that we don't teach, right? We can't cover everything yet. Who knows? Maybe someday we will have a universal curriculum as well, but we don't. Right now, we are still focused on what we've always been focused on. That is, Tolkien studies has always been at the heart of what we do. Fantasy and science fiction, languages, Germanic philology, medieval studies. Those are the main subjects that we do and that we've always focused on. Everybody who is interested in that stuff, everybody who loves Tolkien and fantasy generally, science fiction, languages, especially historical languages, and medieval stuff and all those things. We have, for everyone who is in those categories, who loves the things that we currently teach. And again, this is something that we are hoping as we move forward to continue to expand. Some of our areas are already expanding a fairly good deal, but everybody who is interested in this should be able to find something, should be able to find their joy somewhere at Signum. So again, the idea of the continuum is that we know, as we say, people are all over the place, right? People, not only geographically all over the place, but people are all over the place in their own lives, right? Whether you're, maybe you're still an undergraduate, right? And therefore, like, poor and eating lots of ramen, right? Maybe you've got young kids, right? And have, are getting no sleep and have no time at all. Maybe you are retired and find that you have a great deal of time and resources, that finally time to pour yourself into projects and learning that you've kind of fantasized about doing for a long time, right? Wherever you are in your life, we have something for you on the Signum Continuum. A continuum implies, right, like a sort of an interrelated set of things which vary on some, on some variable, right? The variable of the spectrum or continuum of our programs is investment, basically. How much time and how much money can you afford to give to the learning that you would like to have, right? If the answer to that is you have very little of either, right, of time or money to invest, it's okay. We've got you, right? That's the right side of this continuum. If you have both time and resources, and of course, when I talk about money, nothing at Signum costs anything like what normal higher education does. But the left side of the spectrum, our graduate program, is for people who are able to invest more in time and in money right now. And then we've got our space program and our new Signum Plaza, which I will be featuring in a little bit, about an hour. I'm going to be doing my stroll through the Signum Plaza to sort of show you more around that area. More on that in a second. Anyway, so again, the idea is that everybody can find, we want to meet as much as is in our power to meet the learning needs and desires of everybody who is interested in the subjects that we teach. Notice I have events under that, because events are for everybody. Events are the things that bring everyone together. Our series of regional moots, our annual Myth Moot conference, these are places where folks who are just casual attendees of Mythgard broadcasts, or people who listen to Mythgard broadcasts asynchronously, all the way up through people who are teaching in and studying in our graduate program, are all able to come together and enjoy an awesome day of being in a room and hanging out and talking and learning with people who get all your references and are into the same stuff that you are. Our events are always just so delightful. And Holly, yes, you are correct. The Signum Plaza is a new one. That is a new concept that I'm going to be explaining in just a few minutes, and then I'm going to do a whole session on in about an hour. Okay. So let me walk through a little bit, just in brief, because I've talked about many of these things before, but again, I wanted to show you what's going on as we kind of walk you through the continuum here. First, let's talk about our graduate program. So first, our graduate program contains two different things. First, there is our master's degree program, our MA program, and that is a traditional degree program. That's where we started, right? That is our fundamental, our sort of original offering at Signum University. And our master's degree program, it still is unusual in many ways. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand or mistake about our MA program is so our classes are synchronous. They're hybrid classes. They have asynchronous and synchronous components, but there are synchronous components in all of them. The heart of Signum education from the very beginning has always been, whenever possible, we want to make it possible to have synchronous connection. When we do classes, the heart of all of our classes is synchronous connection with people. By the way, I should have said, that's one of the ways that the continuum is organized as well, because it correlates with the investment thing that I was talking, the investment of time and money. The first fundamental question to ask, if you're trying to find where you can find your joy at Signum, the first question to ask is, are you interested in classes, like taking classes, or do you just want to consume content? Again, you can see the correlation with investment of time, right? If you're able to sign up for particular times and be involved in classroom discussions, then the graduate program or space, right? Those are the left half of the continuum is for you if you want classes. The right half, the Plaza and Mythgard, are for you if you want content, right? Mostly asynchronous content. Anyway, okay. So our master's degree. Now, what I was just saying was a mistake that a lot of people make when they are thinking about our MA program is they're thinking, because I know we get emails about this from people who are like, well, I assume that, because I live in whatever, New Zealand or something like that, I assume that I'm not going to be able to attend your classes because of, my time zone and everything. This is not true. All of our courses have been designed from the beginning to accommodate to the greatest degree possible all of the different time availabilities and time zones of all of our student body around the world. We put a great deal of time and effort into finding out when people are available and making schedules that can fit with people. It's an enormous challenge to do synchronous online education with folks around the world. But this is a challenge that's been at the heart of what Signum has been doing from the very beginning. So no, you don't have to, live in the US. You don't have to go physically anywhere. We will work with you as much as we possibly can to make sure that you can attend classes at times that are going to work for you. Our master's degree program is now in its 13th year, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful program for a long time. We have many people who have come through that and who, it's been so awesome over the years. Seeing people graduate our MA program and teach with us now. There's a number of people teaching at Signum who are alumni of our program. Seeing our MA students go on to get PhDs, and I always love I see their names pop up, giving keynotes at conferences and giving papers and publishing books and things like that. And it gives me a very special glow of pride to see like an announcement, right? Of like, again, maybe it's a conference or maybe it's a publication or something. I guess a lecture, by like, come and like hear this awesome person, and like it's one of our faculty or it's one of our alumni. It's always awesome. Now, If you were around last week, a week ago today, you heard us announce our academic mastery program. This is the continuing education version of our graduate program, where again we are trying to meet the needs of as many people as possible. There's this demographic of people who have been poorly served by degree programs. Maybe you need more flexibility, because there's only so flexible we can be in our master's degree program, because we're following all the rules of the status quo in our master's degree program. And so some of the flexibility we would want to allow people to, maybe you need to spread it out more over time. Maybe you are not interested in the full MA program itself. Maybe you just want a fraction of that, right? And we have some other options there, even within the master's degree program. We also have our graduate diploma program, which is a smaller program. It's where you're taking several of our MA courses, and you don't have to write a full master's thesis at the end of it. So there are options even within our traditional program. But the academic mastery program is designed to help people who want to do intensive and monitored learning. That is, to be working closely with faculty who are going to be not only encouraging, but also evaluating them in their work. To be able to prepare to do stuff. So maybe you have aspirations of being a scholar yourself. Maybe you've always wanted to, you have some ideas of things you would like to publish. Maybe you would like to be out there giving talks at academic conferences to other scholars. Maybe you want to have a book by you sitting on your bookshelf next to the books by Tom Shippey and Mike Trout and Verlin Flieger, right? Maybe you want... maybe you are a creative writer who really wants to immerse themselves in like the world of the Vikings, or the world of the medieval world, or maybe you really want to study again, languages and fantasy stuff and history. There are all kinds of projects that people have, or goals that people have, learning goals that people have. The academic mastery program is designed to help people meet their serious learning goal. By serious, I mean you are ready to invest. You're ready to do work. You're ready to write papers. You're ready to learn languages and translate things and have your translations evaluated, right? You are serious about receiving scholarly training. This is something you've always wanted to do, but you've never been able to fit into, you don't need a degree. Again, that's why you go to college, right? That's why you go to university. That's why, the only serious scholarly training available to people are degree programs, right? Well, we wanted to have serious scholarly training available to everybody. Yes, Matt, you are absolutely correct. Matt says it's also worth noting the high quality of the faculty involved. Because of the nature of Signum, you get to experience an education with faculty from a variety of institutions around the world who've gathered under Signum's umbrella out of a passion for and interest in the content. Absolutely. Our faculty are amazing. Really, really wonderful. And the academic mastery program is, I think, the most student-focused graduate program, serious scholarly training program in the world. When you apply to our academic mastery program, you will be assigned an advisor and a faculty mentor. And you will be working closely, not just to go through a program. The academic mastery program, we don't have a template. Your academic mentor is going to be working with you to establish what your program is going to be, what your plan is going to be, what things you should learn and in what order, in order to achieve the learning goals that you have. Anyway, so the academic mastery program, this is brand new. So we just launched this literally a week ago. This is one of the exciting points. We wanted to supplement the master's degree program. And one thing I will note specifically here, many of you who have been really interested in our master's degree program have been actively thwarted from undertaking it. One of the things that we have had to do in order to comply with all of the rules for accreditation is to deny admission to 50% of Americans based upon the state in which you live. Now, I will say this is, in a sense, not strictly speaking the accreditation process, like the fault of the accreditors. This is the fault of your state legislators, in fact, if you are in one of these states. But one of the goals also of our academic mastery program is it's open to everyone. Not only is it open to everyone, no matter what state you live in, but it is also open to everyone, no matter what your background might be. Perhaps you haven't even completed a formal bachelor's degree. We can't admit people, according to the rules, to our master's degree program who don't have a bachelor's degree in hand. We have no such restrictions with the academic mastery program. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter what your background, you can join the academic. If you want to learn, if you want to really pour yourself into this kind of scholarly training, we can help you in the academic mastery. Well, we hope we can help you. We can't, again, promise to be able to be able to help with every subject, right? Again, there are still restrictions there. If somebody comes in and says, I really want to, do this in-depth research project in, macroeconomics, we're not going to be able to help you, right? So we will. It's one of the things that we're evaluating when we get an application to the academic mastery program, is not like, are you good enough to be considered by our program? Is our program going to be a fit for you? Are we going to be able to meet your learning needs? And that won't always be the case because, again, of like the limitations of what we can offer and what we can cover at this time. But those are the kinds of restrictions that we'll be coming up against in the academic mastery program, not rules, not the rules of the status quo. So the academic mastery program, brand new, really, really exciting for everyone who wants to do more, who wants to dig in. So this is the master's degree program with the graduate diploma program as well. That is the shorter version of the MA program, and our academic mastery program. This is the left side of that continuum. This is the these cost the most in tuition, and they require the most in time from you. And of course, they cost the most in tuition because they demand the most in time from us. The money, the tuition prices across the board, the money that we charge for the things that we do, are always correlated with the amount of work that we have to do and the way that we want to compensate our people. This is, there have been, occasionally I will get somebody who is like, you guys are a nonprofit, like you should be giving your stuff away for free. And I'm like, well, no, we would quite like to pay our employees, actually, right? The people who are doing all of the work that you are benefiting from and learning are worthy of being paid for what they do. So again, that is why the reason that the cost to students increases as you go left on the continuum there. Is because the amount of time that we are pouring into each and every student increases as we move towards the left. But say you want a class, you want to take classes, but you don't have the time to invest. You're not going to have time to write papers. You're not going to have time to do homework, right? But you still want to learn, right? You can't do that kind of in-depth work. But you still really want to learn and take classes. Space is the place for you. SPACE is an acronym, Signum Portals for adult continuing education. SPACE was our first foray into transforming the concept of continuing education. As you can see, the Academic Mastery Program is our next step into that, right? So we have 4 sectors within space. We have our language modules, we have our fantasy studies modules, our creative writing modules, and our humanities modules, right? These are basically the 4 categories of modules or classes that we offer in our space program. Our space classes are 1 month long. They're 4-week classes. Generally, there are some exceptions, but in general, your typical space class is a 4-week class. They tend to meet twice a week. So you're looking at 8 total hours in a given month of time commitment without much in the way of homework. I say not much in the way of homework because there will be some things that you're doing. Like, for instance, if you're taking a creative writing class, you're probably going to want to be doing some writing, right? If you're taking a fantasy studies module on a book, you're probably going to be reading the book, right? If you're taking a language module, there may be some practice and stuff that you want to do, but you're not getting graded. There's no obligatory pile of work that is upon you. All of our modules are designed for you just to be able to come and learn and enjoy learning and to take the opportunity to learn stuff that you never thought you would get a chance to learn. All of those classes that you kind of like were interested to take in college but couldn't fit into your schedule, right? Now you can take those things in space. And all of these areas have been really, really exciting, all of our 4 sectors. The language has been growing tremendously. We now do, in addition to kind of where we began, which is historical languages, it's still kind of one of the specialties of Signum, Old English, Old Norse, even things like Gothic and Middle High German, as well as Latin and Greek. But we've added a large number of modern languages as well, Eastern and Western languages. It's been really cool to see that grow. Fantasy studies, of course, always began with Tolkien at its heart, but has grown to embrace many works of fantasy, both in books and in TV and movies. Lots of stuff to explore. And I would add, not just Western either. One of the areas within fantasy studies which has grown really intriguingly has been East Asian fantasy studies. It's been really fun to see some of that stuff happening too. Our creative writing program has been awesome. The creative writing sector has been such a wonderful and warm and welcoming home for creative writers of any kind. Maybe you think like, well, I like to write, or I'm kind of like working on a writing project, but I'm not telling anybody, right? I do this, like by dark of night or whatever. But I'm not a real writer, right? So I couldn't see myself taking a course on creative writing because I'm not a real writer like the other people in the class probably are. This is nonsense. We have people from all levels of interest and experience engaged in our creative writing modules, which are more than just a classroom experience, but really a community and an opportunity to connect with many other very kind, very welcoming, and very like-minded people. Our creative writing sector in space has just completed this remarkable project, which they called Novel in a Year. They did a series of 12 modules over the course of 2024 in which they helped a group of people to work through and make tremendous progress on writing their own novels from scratch, with modules looking at many different aspects of the whole novel writing experience, and a really wonderful community of people who went through the whole series together. It's the kind of thing that our creative writing sector does, and it's so neat to see. And then humanities, general humanities, the ability to learn other literature classes, other film classes, philosophy and religion classes, all kinds of different things. that you can learn in our humanities sector. That started off as one of the smaller sectors. We were sort of focusing on language, fantasy studies, and creative writing at first. Our humanities sector has been growing very excitingly. And if you were around a couple weeks ago, Rob Gosselin and I did a special presentation, a special event, where we talked about the really exciting developments that Rob Gosselin, the director of space, and his team, including, of course, James Tauber of the Digital Tolkien Project, who is our designer and programmer for our BlackBerry software that space uses. And by the way, the Academic Mastery Program is going to be running off of BlackBerry as well and using this same technology, because what they've been developing, not just the technology, but the system. Our space program has been remarkable in how we interact with our students and make ourselves available to our students. The goal of the space program was for it to be a completely student-driven initiative. Synchronous classes, but set up in response to to the demands of students all over the world. And the Launchpad is this new system of that empowers students to put in their own time and time zone availability, enter their short list of the modules they would most like to take, and then their own expressed interest in the modules drives what classes we offer, and even helps to determine the times at which we offer them, because we schedule them around your availability. And then, of course, people can vote and enroll and make those classes happen. Of course, we can't run classes if we don't have enough students for them. But Rob and his team have worked so hard through the new Launchpad initiative to make it possible, to make it easy for students to be able to express their interest and form the space program based upon their interest. So space is really, really exciting. And if you haven't gotten a chance to look in space, this is in BlackBerry. blackberry.signumuniversity.org is where you can go to find all the space stuff. And it is phenomenal. Now, but say these classes sound fun, whether it's the more intensive classes in the graduate program or whether it's the more casual classes in space. But look, you've got an infant and your time is not your own, and you're like, as much as I would like to be able to schedule stuff, I really kind of have to be more flexible and more asynchronous, right? But you'd still like to learn, right? You would still like to find joy in immersing yourselves in what you love, which is what we do at Signum. There are a couple different options for that: the Signum Plaza and Mythgard. And again, the variable here is investment. Investment of time and investment of money. The Signum Plaza is the home for Signum's premium content. Again, stuff that much person time has been invested in and for which we want to compensate people for their time. Mythgard is our free stuff, our free broadcasts and free content that's openly available to anybody at any time. The Signum Plaza contains two different things: the Signum Collaboratory and the Signum Store. Again, we have a bunch of premium content, lecture series, books, videos, lots of things. I'm going to be showing this later. It's in about half an hour, 2:30. I'm going to be doing a stroll through the Signum Plaza, and I'm going to be showing you all of these things in more detail. So stay tuned at 2:30 for a much more detailed look at the Signum Plaza and what's there in our. If you're curious about what is this premium content of which you speak, I'll show you. It's really, really fun. However, The thing I want to emphasize right now is within the Signum Plaza, we have two different methods by which people can gain access to our premium content. One is the Signum Store. The Signum Store is where you just go to download stuff. So you make a one-time payment, and then you download it, and you can give our premium content a forever home on your devices. That's how the store works. It's pretty simple, but it's brand new. Today, this very day as is at 2:30, we're going to be cutting the ribbon on the Signum Store for the first time. In addition, we have the Signum Collaboratory. The Signum Collaboratory is the subscription service. If you subscribe to the Collaboratory for our low monthly rate, you will get viewing access to all of our premium content for as long as you subscribe. So we have the monthly subscription service, and we have the Signum Store, where you can purchase things for download. That is, together, they are the Signum Plaza, which is, again, the home for all of our premium content. More coming. I'm not going to say much more right now because I'm gonna go into much more detail at 2:30 in half an hour. In the interest of which, I should press forward. Mythgard, as I say, is the right side of the continuum, where people can go who have little disposable or unpredictable time at their disposal and little disposable money. That's okay. We love you too, and we want to help you to find joy also. Right now, the primary Mythgard content is generated by me. I do 5 different, mostly weekly broadcasts. Other Minds and Hands, Mondays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's me and Maggie Park from Signum Studios. Maggie and I, there in Other Minds and Hands, talk about adaptation and the process of adaptation, focusing especially on recent Tolkien adaptations. We're going to be doing our big session on The War of the Rohirrim, the new anime film, this coming Monday, actually in 2 days. Then, of course, there's Exploring the Lord of the Rings on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. Exploring the Lord of the Rings, as many of you know, is just about to celebrate in about a week or so, is just going to celebrate its 8th anniversary. Started in 2017. So, yeah, it's going to be 2025. So that's 8 years. For the last 8 years, we've been going through The Lord of the Rings, paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence, having long and detailed discussions on every paragraph of The Lord of the Rings. In the 8 years that we have been studying The Lord of the Rings, we've made excellent progress. And we are in Moria already, well into book 2. So that's pretty good progress. I think that everyone would agree. Yes, a full paragraph on the days when we're feeling hasty. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And of course, also attached to that, after the book discussion, we're also doing a long series of field trips through the Lord of the Rings Online video game, looking at their adaptation of the world of Middle-earth. Really, really fun. On Wednesday nights at 10 p.m., I do the Mythgard Academy, which is essentially an online book club where we discuss our way through various books, both Tolkien and not. Right now, we're in the middle of The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco, and after that, we're going to be doing we're going to be getting back to History of Middle-earth. We're going to be doing the Peoples of Middle-earth, the final volume 12 of the History of Middle-earth, as we've discussed our way through the entire history of Middle-earth over the course of the last 10 years or so. So anyway, the Mythgard Academy discussions are delightful. Then on Thursdays, these are alternate Thursdays, every 2 weeks ish is the Silmarillion Film Project. This has also been running for a long time, since 2014. maybe 2015, I think it started. Silmarillion Film Project. The Silm Film Project is where we have been planning a theoretical TV series adaptation of the Silmarillion, going all the way. The plan is to do a TV series that starts at the Ainulindale and goes all the way through at least Well, I'm Back, if not more likely Sam getting on the boat at the end in the Fourth Age. Anyway, that has been an awesome project. It has been so cool. And I just love engaging in that process of analysis and adaptation that we do. I have come to quite love our theoretical adaptation of the Silmarillion that we've been working on for so long. We're in season 7 now, by the way. If you want to jump in and join us, season 7 is the Nirnaeth Arnoriad season, so it's a really cheerful time to jump in. And in fact, we're just now moving into the second half of the season, discussing the episodes, the second half of the season, which is when everybody's going to start to die, so it's going to be really cool. Yeah. So anyhow, there's script discussions because this Silm Film grew from just me and a couple co-hosts talking about it through its current, much more elaborate affair where we have a whole team of folks who are invested in this. We write scripts. We have a soundtrack. This is like a score that we've been that we've been producing. Led by Philip Menzies, our friend from Australia. Nick Palazzo and Marie Prosser have been my co-hosts lately. They're the heads of our writers' room for Silm Film, and they and their team write and produce scripts and stuff. Pretty awesome. And then on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, I do my Mythgard in Middle-earth stream. I do this on Lotro Stream. This is where I've been streaming The Lord of the Rings Online. I've been taking a character through the entire story of The Lord of the Rings Online, thinking about that really quite delightful and remarkable adaptation of Tolkien's work and world. So anyway, that's been going on, good golly, also for about 10 years or so. What this means is that, Other Minds and Hands, we're at about episode 85. Mythgard Academy has been happening since 2014. Exploring the Lord of the Rings, relatively recent, since 2017. Each of these has hundreds. Other Minds and Hands is still in double digits, creeping up towards 100 now. But all of them have triple digits of episodes. And the episodes are fairly meaty, generally an hour and a half to 2 hours long. There are literally thousands of hours of content, which you can easily find on our YouTube page. You could also look in our Twitch archives. So if there is content that you are looking for, we can provide, whether synchronously to be involved in the live discussions that I'm doing, or asynchronously by watching recordings. Okay. Yes, and it's true that the Twitch archives are not as comprehensive, to be fair. That is true, Druid's Fire. Though we are very grateful to the work that you do, Druid's Fire, in helping us to maintain our Twitch archives. All right, well, the last thing on the Signum Continuum, as I mentioned before, the events which kind of undergird everything and support everybody and bring everybody together. Our events program has been awesome. We have primarily two different branches of our events program. There's our regional moots, and there's MythMoot, our big annual conference. Our regional events. This is the spring of 2025 so far. We have 6 moots scheduled between January and May of 2025. You will notice that these moots are taking place on 3 different continents and 6 totally different time zones. We're actually representing each of the 4 time zones of North America, of the U.S. and also Australia and Europe as well. Our regional moot program has been just delightful. It has, we have such an enthusiastic response. Everyone who gets the opportunity to come to our regional moots, and they're all hybrid events, so you can attend them remotely. If you can't come, physically to the moot, if you can't come to the site, if you can come to the site, if any of these are anywhere near you, I strongly encourage you to come. That is always a delightful day. Or multiple days, in the case of Osmoot down in Melbourne. So yes, we are. I'm just delighted. And by the way, I would emphasize that this is the first. The Denver moot has just been confirmed. Mountain moot on May 31st. That is brand new. That is hot off the press as of today. We've been hoping for. A lot of people have been asking, like, when's the next mountain moot going to happen? And we've been trying to work out a date. A date when it's not snowing in Denver is the biggest challenge. And we think we found one. We hope to be safe on May 31st. But in any case, yes. So mountain moot at the end of May. So we've got Osmoot happening in the heat of summer down in Australia at the end of January. So excited to get down to Melbourne and see all of our Australian friends down there. We've got Sunshine Moot in February in Orlando. We've got SoCal Moot down in Carlsbad, California, near San Diego on March 15th. We have Tex Moot again in Houston on April 5th. I guess I said 3 continents. I guess 4 continents if you count Texas as its own continent, right? Which just teasing Texas. And then Willow Moot on April 26th in Leuven, Belgium. Our first moot ever in Belgium. Our 3rd moot on the European mainland. We just had Stuttmoot down in Stuttgart in Germany in October of last year, and we've done Nedermoot several years ago before the pandemic in the Netherlands. Going to be really excited to get to Belgium for Willowmoot and see our European friends again. So our regional moots are all over the place, and we hope that you will be able to join us for these. And announcing Mythmoot 12 and the theme of Mythmoot 12, which is Drawn to the Edge. Mythmoot is located at the National Conference Center, is where we're going to be holding that. It's in the NCC is our, has been our venue for some time. And the dates are June 19th through 23rd. I wanted to read you a little bit more. Hang on, sorry, I thought I had this up, but here we go. Okay, there it is. I have a description of the theme so people can understand what we're thinking about the theme. And this, of course, is the reveal of our logo for Mythmoot 12 as well. Okay. Our Mythmoot team says, drawn to the edge can mean many things. A look at the borders that readers and authors find themselves drawn to over and over again, a deeper dive into literature that pushes the edge of boundaries, or even a look into stories that have readers peeking over the edge into the void. Maybe the edge is where you walk into the unknown, and where the liminal begins, or is a means of escape. The theme was inspired by Galadriel's comment about the quest standing on the edge of a knife, stray but a little and it will fail to the ruin of all. What stories draw us to the edge? What is it about the tipping point of stories that intrigues us?
Where is the edge between reality and fantasy in cosmic horror? What do we get out of seeing a character go as far as possible before either balancing, retreating, or falling off of the edge? What is an edge in a story? Do the edges in a story shift? What side of the double-edged sword are you on? So those are some of the thoughts that our Mythmoot team had in thinking about this theme for this year. The call for papers will be available very soon, the call for presentations. So people who want to make submissions to give a talk or lead a discussion at Mythmoot will have the opportunity to do that very soon. Registration should be open soon. Last year we had lots of delays that led to us not opening registration until like the last minute. That shouldn't be happening this year. We're not having the same problems we had before. So we're hoping to be opening registration for Mythmoot, early bird registration, next month in January. All right. So always excited. Mythmoot every year. It's like a family reunion when those are awesome. I know. Like I always want to say that it's like a family reunion because it feels like getting back together with family, but I know not everybody has awesome experiences at family reunions, so it's kind of perhaps not the best metaphor, but the kind of family environment, the seeing old friends and connecting with new friends that happens every year at Mythmoot. It's just, there's nothing like it every year. So, yeah. As Christopher says, there's a big difference between blood family and chosen family. Absolutely. Okay, so these are the events that we're focused here for the next 6 months. There will be fall moots, of course, after Mythmoot as well. Stay tuned for more on the regional moots that will be coming in the fall. Yes, as Patrick says, it's a family reunion as it should have been. Absolutely. Okay, so as I say, so this is the concept of the Signum Continuum. We are wanting to present the continuum of our learning opportunities at Signum in order to help people to find joy, to find their joy at Signum. Now, let me get back to where I started talking about accreditation and specifically talking about the financial challenges that has both led to and sort of well, let's just say led to. Yes. Delighted to help people find joy. So there's the hard realities are that financially, this has been a tough year for us. As I mentioned at the start, we were left at the time of accreditation delay in a certain amount of financial hardship, real hardship. We'd spent our reserves in getting to that finish line, paying all the fees and doing all the things that we needed to do. And we were left in the end with nothing to show for it, at least not for a while yet. And so we find ourselves needing, as I explained, not only to continue, but to expand our operations, developing and organizing our programs across the board. One of the practical realities, going back to the continuum for a second, one of the practical realities is that if we're going to do what I said before was clear we needed to do, in order for us to achieve all of our goals, we need to thrive, and we need to thrive as an unaccredited institution, as who we are. We need to be who we are, sharing joy to all of the people that we do it in all of the ways that we do across our continuum. But we need to do that, and we need to do that more in order to get out of the thin times that we have been in financially, that we've been left in, really, I should say. We needed to invest in our programs, develop our programs. And I've talked about some of the ways in which we've done that. The new academic mastery program to expand our graduate offerings, the further development of space and more modules, and the Launchpad system in order to make space even more responsive to student needs. The new Signum Plaza, with our store coming alongside our collaboratory in order to enable people to engage with our awesome premium content, and continuing. And ideally, as we move forward, expanding our Mythgard broadcasts as well, not to mention all of our events. As I say, this has required a lot of investment on our part to build up all of these things. And again, that at a time when our reserves were essentially depleted. Only two things have enabled Signum to survive this transition, to survive, frankly, this past year. One is the incredible hard work and sacrifice of our Signum staff. They have been amazing this year. I am very proud to say that we have maintained 100% of our payroll. We have not cut back or laid anyone off all year, even though it's been lean and even though it's been hard. It was not a time to cut down. It was a time to invest in what we have. We did not have much to invest, however, financially. What we've done financially is maintain. What our staff has done is go above and beyond, and done amazing work in order to bring to reality, and to bring to everyone, to help people find joy at Signum. The other thing, of course, is that has enabled us to survive this year is the remarkable generosity of you, our donors. That is the thing that has made the difference. Let me show you. So this is our Signum, the giving to our Signum Annual Fund over the course of the last 5 years. So you can see fiscal year 20. Our fiscal year ends in July, so when we say fiscal year 20, we mean the period ending at the exciting moment of July 31st, 2020. Everybody remember those days? And then, so from the fiscal year 20 through fiscal year 23, you can see the lovely trend of our giving. Last year, you may recall about this time, when I was talking about our fiscal year 24 giving, the goal that I set was $130,000. I wanted to see if we could raise $130,000 last year. And actually, we raised more than $47,000 more than that. The total giving for this past fiscal year was $177,000 and $389. It was awesome. Again, this is why, financially speaking, this is why Signum is still around, because of the amazing response and generosity of our donors. It was phenomenal, by far and away the biggest year we have ever had. This year, so far, we have raised $143,000 already for the fiscal year 25 annual fund. That means, this is in gifts and pledges for fiscal year 25. So even before any further give, we still have 7 full months left in this fiscal year. Even without any additional giving in the next 7 months, we're already the second greatest year we've ever had. That is, again, a true testimony to the generosity of our people. I would like to do more. We have lots of time over the course of the next 7 months for additional giving to come in. My goal for this year is another 56,000. I want to get to 200,000. The goal, and I stated this goal at the beginning back in our campaign launch, my goal is 200,000 for this year. And we are well on the way towards that. $56,000, about $57,000 more in giving over the course of the next 7 months. This is a very achievable goal. I would add, of course, we are at tax end season, right? So if I strongly encourage you to remember Signum if you are looking for a place to do tax deductible donations, because we can help with that. If you would like to talk about, one of the things that I would love to do, if you are interested, I've been going through the different ways in which we are sharing joy with people and helping people to find their joy. If one of these things resonates with you, maybe it's our grad program and our new academic mastery program. Maybe it's our space program and the opportunities that it provides to so many people. Maybe it's our plaza and the premium content that we're generating through studios and press and our lecture series and everything. Maybe it's Mythgard. And the time I invest every week into the Mythgard broadcasts. Maybe you would like to partner with us in a more particular way. Maybe there is some large or focused giving that you would like to discuss. Again, tax end time is a great time to be thinking about that. So I would be delighted to talk with you about that, to think about some of the ways that we can reach that $57,000 goal. So anyway, that is, this is where we are. This is what we are looking towards. But of course, we don't just want or don't just need to be thinking about our financial giving. We do need to be looking at that. And this is going to make an enormous difference over the course of the rest of this year to enable us to continue to pay our wonderful staff as they continue to work hard in presenting all of these opportunities. But we also need to think about enrollment goals. We also need to grow our programs as well. I have always felt, and I have never been more convinced, that way too few people in our fandoms know about Signum. There are thousands of people out there who could find joy, who could find their lives significantly enriched by discovering Signum's programs, who don't know about them yet. We need to grow our enrollment. We need to expand and bring in more people in order to make all of our programs more sustainable. The path towards building the kind of financial reserves which the accreditors require us to do, and which we would want to do anyway to ensure our own financial stability moving forward. The path to that is increasing our enrollment across the board in all of our programs, to make each of our programs financially sustainable on its own, and then also to have the generous giving on top in order to supplement and to put back into those programs, to continue to grow them and develop them and to build the reserves. Yeah, great. Kath says, agreed. I only just recently found Signum. Hey, awesome. Welcome. So glad you did. All right. So let me talk about some of the enrollment goals. I want to share some concrete enrollment goals that we have. And these are goals. I say summer 2025. Again, our fiscal year is the end of July. I'm talking about like during the summertime, like May, June, July. That's the time range in which I want to be hitting these enrollment goals. First, our master's degree program. Our master's degree program has decreased in overall enrollment because of the restrictions that I mentioned before, because we have to turn away 50% of the people, of Americans anyway, who apply to our program. And so as that requirement, a bunch of our people were kind of grandfathered in. They've been graduating, and so our numbers have been lower because we're restricted that way, because we're following the rules. However, I would love to see our numbers in our master's degree and graduate diploma program increase. I would love to see our semesterly enrollment in our graduate courses get up to about 75. 75 students taking our regular semester graduate programs in the MA and graduate diploma courses. That's one goal. 75 students enrolling in our classes. Right, Ryan says, hi from Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. Michigan's a whole thing. But, yeah. Yes, there are some very high population states in the mix of the 50% that we can't reach. Some of the small, low population states are quite civilized by comparison. Our academic mastery program. Now, this is, as I said, this is a brand new we literally launched that 1 week ago today. This is a brand new program. My goal by the summertime, I want to build about 50 students in that program. We have almost no restrictions on the academic mastery program. The potential student pool for our AM program is very broad. I would like to see us establish relationships with 50 students for the AM program by summer 2025. Our space program. Our space program is very robust. We have usually more than 100 students taking space modules every single month of the year. That's been about our average, has been about 100. I want to see that increase to 150. We tend to run a number, like a dozen or more modules per month. So we're not even talking like it's a per module. It's a pretty small. It's only a handful of extra students per module. The new Launchpad system will make this easier and easier for us to grow, because it will make it easier for us to shape our entire curriculum based on what students want, based on the modules that they shortlist, and then the enrollment that they make after their shortlisted modules are launched from the Launchpad. So yeah, 150 students a month. That is where I want to see our space program grow for. Hey, Jenny Goslin, who's one of our remarkable space staffers. Jenny says we're currently scheduling Quenya for space. There we go. So Quenya just got launched? Nice. Awesome. That is exciting. Been wanting to do that one for a long time. Have you been wanting to finally get around to learning Quenya? There we go. It's happening in space. Okay, so anyway, 150 enrollments per month. That's that. To get up to that range is what I'm looking at for space. For our collaboratory, subscribers to the collaboratory. That is, our subscribers to the collaboratory get access to all of our premium content, all the books that we're publishing, all the videos that we're developing, all the lecture series that we have in our archive. That's all of it available to all of our subscribers, as well as opportunities to be engaged with the authors and creators as they go through the process of generating this stuff. Again, more on the collaboratory in just a few minutes. But I want to grow our collaboratory subscribers to 200. We're at about 100 right now. I think we can easily double that by summertime. 200 collaboratory subscribers is what is where I want to be by summer 2025. And then I have a Mythmoot goal too. I want to get to 200. We've never hit 200 with Mythmoot. I'd love to see 200 people at Mythmoot this year. So I state these goals. These goals represent, these aren't random numbers pulled out of a hat. These numbers represent what real financial stability would look like. If we hit all of these goals, these enrollment goals by summer of 2025, next fiscal year will be a very different experience, a delightfully different experience for Signum. And of course, the huge benefit is that we the more people are involved, the more people we are helping to find joy in the things they love at Signum. So one of the reasons that I'm emphasizing this now, first, I just wanted to share this with you, but secondly, I know that there are a lot of people who don't have the resources to make large donations, who might wish they did, who might wish that they could, make a $10,000 or $50,000 donation, but can't. And I understand. Not everybody has those financial resources, but there are other ways. If you can't make a large donation, or even a smaller donation than that, there are other very significant ways that you can help us to spread the word. You can help to tell people about, people that who might be interested in the kinds of learning opportunities that we provide. Share this with them. Help them to find their joy at Signum, and help everything be able to continue to grow and to continue. We are going to continue helping people find joy and finding joy ourselves as an institution. We plan to return to the accreditation process, to come to the end of our deferral in a few years. But when we do, we're going to be doing it on our terms and from a position of strength. And I'm really excited about that. Okay. That is the end of my State of the University address. I'm already over time, which is probably shocking to no one. Any questions that I can answer for folks? I'm willing to. We'll be a little bit late starting the next session, but that's okay. I'm happy to take questions if folks have questions. Do stay tuned for the stroll through the Signum Plaza that I'm going to be leading after this. But yeah, I did want to give an opportunity. There are some comments and questions that I addressed earlier, but I just wanted to see if anybody has any other questions that I can answer before we go. This has been such an amazing journey with you guys, not just this past year, but the last 13 years. Since I first announced Mythgard, which I believe was in the summer of 2011. It was a long time ago now, right? We're 13 and a half years from then. And I am so grateful for all of the people who have come along on this ride with me, both as students and as staff. So many people who have contributed so much to make Signum happen and to bring Signum to the point where we are today. Aries asks, is there any communication with Amazon about working on the Silmarillion project? No, though, can't help but say, there are certain ways in which we feel that some of the adaptation choices in the Rings of Power were possibly inspired by some of our work in the Silm project. I can't speak to whether that's. I'm just saying there's some similarities. That's all. No, I'm half joking, but yeah, no. Let me just say, whoever does secure the adaptation rights to the Silmarillion, which will happen eventually now, but when that happens. We're ready. We've been doing lots of groundwork, right? So, whoever can just give us a call. We're prepared to move forward with some things. Yeah. And Druid's Fire, you're right. Signum's a teenager that we've been privileged to watch grow into a fine member of society. Yep. Still getting there. Not fully grown yet, right? But we're getting there. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna end the stream for a minute or two, right? Probably a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna start up again, just because I wanna have the videos separate so that we can have a separate video for the State of the University address here and for the stroll. Okay, so stay tuned. The stream will start again in just a couple minutes, and I will lead you on a stroll through the Signum Plaza and show you what is this new premium content area stuff that I'm talking about. All right. See you guys again in a few minutes. Thank you guys so much again for everything that you have meant to Signum over the years, and for another fun year to come as we continue to move forward and find joy. Thanks, everybody.